Hello, my friends. Welcome to Star Wars Transmissions. I'm your boy Dan, and with me, again, the lovely Danny girl. How's it going, Danielle?
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because it's right there. Hello there.
I laid it up for you to just slam dunk that. Yo, what up, the Hound? Thank you for joining us. Man, guys, I am still reeling from that finale. my nerves have not settled from that finale. I also think my eyes are still puffy, which we'll get into for sure. But man, if you have yet to watch part 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, get those booty cheeks up out of here, because we will be going over spoilers. We're going to be breaking down the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi and sharing our thoughts on the entirety of this episode. And yeah, what a freaking episode it was.
My gosh, I'm still reeling. Absolutely. I don't know if I went as emotional as you did, but that's okay. I'm right there with you. Definitely shed multiple tears, many tears.
I think my reaction, how I could sum up how I felt about this episode, was calling you after watching it. I had to get up, walk around to try to settle myself.
Take a lap.
And you could hear the emotion in my voice. That's how overcome with emotion I was from that episode.
Yeah, I was going to a meeting and you're like, "Can I talk?" And I was like, "Okay, I got like 5 minutes."
Oh, that episode.
Like, well, don't spoil anything. Clearly it was emotional. I understand.
It was fantastic. And for me, all I kept thinking about after I finished up the episode was how thankful I am that we got to watch this. How awesome it is that we get to experience this moment, these episodes, and feel like a little kid all over again. It's awesome.
It really is that. I don't want to say just nostalgia, but yeah, man, it was packing it hard in the feels, and it's so much fun and so exciting to continue to receive more Star Wars content.
I've said this multiple times. I said it to you today. I'm currently halfway through Brotherhood, which I would highly recommend that book. I'm really, really enjoying it so far. And it's made reading the book as I've been watching Obi-Wan Kenobi has made me appreciate more each medium more. The book is fantastic. You get to see the relationship of Anakin as he's becoming a Jedi Knight with Obi-Wan, and then juxtaposing that to what we see happening in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series has been really awesome for me and really special.
That's awesome. I have not read Brotherhood yet, but I will read it soon. I know I have a few Star Wars books that I need to catch up on.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. And I would definitely recommend for you and for anyone else listening, if you read that book, watch Obi-Wan, because I feel like, as I mentioned, I feel like both help make each other more impactful, which is awesome.
Just tear your heart out just a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, that's how this episode was for me. This was like ripping my heart out of my chest, stomping all over it. Just absolutely killing me from pretty much from like the 10 to 15 minute mark of the episode on. It was just like heart ready to jump out of my chest pretty much from that moment on.
No, and you've watched it like 4 times already.
Give or take, yeah. I haven't sat down and watched it 4 times from start to finish every single moment, but at least twice so far. And then seeing different scenes or wanting to watch different scenes over again. So probably like 3 times-ish or so, maybe 4. I will definitely be watching it again. That's for sure.
Concur. Yeah, I can't wait to watch it again. I've watched it twice this evening. So
I've said this, or we've said this after each episode. Watching it for a second time has made me enjoy it more so. Did you feel that was the case this time around or no?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was. I think it was. I was able to enjoy it more. I think like the first time through, it's always you're just so pumped up because you don't know what to expect. Like, okay, great, grand picture, yes, you do know what to expect. But some of those small details, you're not really sure what's going on. You're still like sitting on the edge of your seat. I know he close or turn on closed captions because I know sometimes I miss things like when they're speaking. So it's kind of nice to get that kind of once you watch it once, you go through your emotions, settle in a little bit more, and then watch it again.
Yeah, I agree completely. This episode, an example of one aspect of this episode that didn't hit for me the first time through was Reva and Reva's arc in this episode, and how that, I don't want to say parallels Vader, but how you're seeing that play out in Vader and how her decision differs from Vader. I guess the impact of that didn't hit me as hard first time through.
Yeah.
And then second time through, dude, watching Reva at the end of this episode made me freaking start bawling my eyes out second time through. I started tearing up as she was speaking to Obi-Wan in that moment. It was so incredible. So yeah, this is another another week where I'm like, second time through has made me enjoy and appreciate the episode that much more.
Yeah, I really liked Reva. I really liked her impact, excuse me. And I really do think you can call it a parallel storyline to Vader until the divergence,
Yeah.
until she has to make that choice. That's where her and Vader are going to differ.
Which is a theme of this episode and a theme of the series as a whole, right? Choice. Choosing a destiny for ourselves, making our own destiny to some extent, and making the choice to be the person that we want to be. And yeah, her choice definitely allows her to, I don't want to say completely absolve herself, right? Because you can't absolve yourself
No.
entirely of what she's done, but she's differentiated herself from Vader. And that, like I said, didn't hit me as much first time through, but definitely more so second time through.
She's making that choice to make it right, to make those
Yeah.
decisions right going forward.
Absolutely. So that, I think that's a good place to start. Is we open up the episode with our homegirl Reva traveling to Tatooine, and I mentioned this to you. I'm so happy that the majority of this episode did not take place on Tatooine. I was worried that that's what was going to happen, is that Vader and Obi-Wan were going to duel on Tatooine. So I'm glad that that didn't happen. But we open up the episode on Tatooine. Reva's looking for Owen and for Luke.
Imagine her surprise when she sees the farmer that she already met and terrorized.
And I love too that guy. It was that schlub from the first episode that was like, well, was he was
the asshole in the beginning?
He might have been the foreman.
sorry.
I'm trying to remember. I think he
was the foreman.
I think he was the foreman at like the fishmonger. We'll just call him the fishmonger. And I love that she like uses the force to swat his water cup out of his hand. Like, you're not even on my level. Get out of here. So yeah, I also like too that her hair is just like totally disheveled. She's struggling here. She has no time to make sure she looks good. She's just surviving here.
She's clearly not even like healed yet. Like, I feel like she's got to be like wrapped a piece of gauze around her stomach, because you can tell she's clearly in a lot of pain. I know later on in the episode we definitely see how if Owen can kind of not necessarily be on her level, but at least put up a little bit of a fight, she's got to be in some kind of distress.
Yeah, absolutely. And then from there, we come to our boy Vader, and he's hot on the trail of Obi-Wan and company, because we learned last episode their hyperdrive is out. So they've got to travel sublight, and Vader, I don't think, it's got to be the Executor, right? I don't know if we ever hear his starship named as such, but I'm pretty sure that's the Executor, his star destroyer. They're on Obi-Wan and company's trail, and he wants the kill. He's ready to go in for Obi-Wan and get that kill as quickly as possible.
He's tasting blood at this
Oh,
point.
absolutely. Shark in the water, and he senses weak prey, and he wants to pounce. And we find out from our boy Roken that there's no hope for Obi-Wan and company at this point because they don't have enough time to fix the hyperdrive. I think he said the motivator was shot, the couplings were shot, so they're going to need way more time than they have to be able to fix the hyperdrive and get them out of this situation, which leads Obi-Wan to realize, all right, I need to jump ship. I can't endanger the rest of the crew because I know it's me that Vader wants.
Absolutely. And Obi-Wan clearly understands that once he leaves and Vader again smells that blood in the water, he's gonna go. He's gonna follow Obi-Wan wherever he goes, because that is the only thing that matters to him at this point in time.
And Obi-Wan mentions this, and I like that we get to see Roken's leadership skills here because he knows we are not in good shape right now. The ship is not in good shape, but I can't let everyone know that because there's going to be hysteria. I got to try to keep people as calm as possible. So I'm going to tell them that, hey, there's hope, but internally he knows we do not have a shot right now. So I appreciated that they show those leadership skills in Roken because I totally think this is not the last we've seen of Roken.
Oh, I don't think so either. And I'm really excited to see him again, and maybe Sully. I was like, I know it's Maya Erskine, with the character Sully, or like even if it's like ancillary characters, I'd love to have that, just that little bit of connective tissue.
Absolutely.
In Andor or something.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And one of the things that I loved about this episode and that hit me way harder than I was expecting going into this series, once we knew that Leia was going to be a big part of the series, is Obi-Wan's relationship with Leia. The moments that we get with Leia in this episode were very, very impactful for me. And this part was also impactful for me, seeing him tell her, I've got to leave. I've got to do what needs to be done to save everyone aboard this ship. And because of that, I got to jump ship, man. I'm gonna give you to Haja. Let Haja take you to Alderaan, which again is something that we talked about that I appreciate. We're seeing that growth in Obi-Wan from the point where he does not trust Haja at all from the beginning of episode 2 to now. He's entrusting Haja with Leia's life, hoping that he's going to do the right thing and take her to Alderaan.
I'm gonna go with, I think we talked about this previously, but how he can kind of see the good in Haja, because I know Haja made a comment about like, oh, you're gonna take the word of a fake Jedi and a sneak or whatever he said. And he's like, yeah, I am. And I think that just goes to show you, like, Obi-Wan can see through Haja's rougher exterior and know that he's a good guy at heart.
And again, this is something that comes up in Brotherhood. There's a scene early in the book where Obi-Wan winds up connecting with a character where you don't know if you should trust this character. And I love that. I can't recommend reading Brotherhood enough and watching Obi-Wan. It's dope. Totally recommended. So yeah, this moment of Obi-Wan speaking to Leia was really really great, and seeing Leia super bummed that Obi-Wan's going to be leaving here. And I just have really grown to appreciate the relationship between these two and the care that Obi-Wan has for Leia and that Leia has for Obi-Wan. It's really, really heartwarming.
Absolutely. And I do really like how when Obi-Wan broke the news to Leia, she acted like a 10-year-old would act. Like, I know we've seen her and we've talked about this before about her being kind of mature for her age, but kind of a little bit of a temper tantrum, stomping off, not wanting to talk to him. I thought that was definitely a good addition to make her still feel and look that age appropriate.
Yeah, and one of the things we talked about that kind of made both of us chuckle was she was showing Lola to the people aboard the starship because she was saying that it helped ease their concerns and their fright. And Obi-Wan makes a comment to something along the lines of, hey, maybe I could use her as well, use some of that, which I thought was just great. That playful nature in Obi-Wan. And again, just that the relationship that these two have been able to build over this season has been spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to entrust her to tell her the truth that he was afraid too. Like, you're not gonna usually get that kind of relationship between a guy and a little girl.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. And we get to see our boy Luke. Cute little Luke, happy as can be, even though, what was it, his belt was shot or something? He destroyed his belt on a ship or a speeder. And I loved how this alien guy looked. I have no clue what this alien is, but I thought the guy looked super cool. And even though this was a nice little moment, it's short-lived because Owen finds out that Reva is gunning for him. Reva wants them buns. She's coming for him. And that's going to set into motion Owen and Beru making some plans to hopefully protect himself or themselves. And then we go back to the starship. And this was the one moment that I have to say, and I think the one critique I'm going to have over this series as a whole, Obi-Wan's connection with the path felt a little forced at times. And this scene here where we see Obi-Wan telling the members of the people aboard the starship that, hey, I've got to leave. I got to get on a dropship so that the Empire will follow me and give you guys time to be able to fix the hyperdrive and then get out of here. And some of the crew, the people aboard the ship, I think it was the woman that we saw in episode 2 that Haja took money from to help her get her off of Dayu, saying something along the lines of, you can't leave us.
Gotta stick together.
Gotta stick together. And in my mind, I'm just thinking like, yo, homegirl, you've known this dude for like a hot minute. So that's the one critique I have of the episode, and I think of the series in a whole, is just Obi-Wan's relationship with some of the members of the path. It didn't feel as natural to me. It felt a little forced at times. But then I also wondered, could that be because this story was supposed to be a film, and that they then decided to make it into a series, that they had to add some more moments to give it that length that it would need. I don't know. I'm totally speculating here, but that's the one area where I feel like this episode fell a little short for me. And it's a very small moment, so it's not like it totally derailed the episode for me.
Yeah, it definitely would have been fun to know a little bit, like if they needed to beef it up a little bit more to know a little bit more about the path or more about the connection. But yeah, I can definitely see why you felt that way. It definitely is a little odd. No, don't go. I only met you 30 seconds ago.
It felt forced, and
but they have gone to war together.
They have.
They did battle together.
True. That is true, right?
Building bonds.
Yeah, they fought together, so I guess maybe you could say they share that connection with one another. But yeah, I think that would be the one thing I would have wanted to see more of, a connection that Obi-Wan built with some of the people in the path, or just maybe some of the dialogue being a little bit not feeling as forced. But a minute critique, so not anything that I'm gonna
honestly
cry over.
We're going to probably forget this scene in about 10 seconds anyway. So.
Kev Metalhead, what's going on? Thanks for joining. I appreciate a fellow Metalhead. So welcome to the live stream. Bill Kuhn, love Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Already watched the last episode. I hope you liked it. The series as a whole, like we did. Glad you loved the finale. Man, it really was great. I'm still reeling from it. I'm sure we are going to watch it again. I'm super excited. One of the things I immediately thought about after the series ended was, I cannot wait to see this in theater. I can't wait to watch this because it's going to have a theatrical release.
You know when?
I have no clue when. But man, I am super excited to be able to watch it in theater. And I wonder how they're going to do that. Got to have intermissions, I would think. But that's for another live stream. But either way, Can't wait to watch it all over again.
My gosh, they can do it like Titanic back in the day. I know you haven't seen Titanic yet, but I remember like going to theaters to see it with my friend that I have to say her mom had to ask permission from my mom to
Of
go
course,
see
of
it because of the
course.
nudity, but there was an intermission. So I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe we'll go back to way back when.
How long is that? I've never seen that movie. I don't know how long it is. I'm assuming it's what, like 3-4 hours long?
I think so, something like that. I know it was 2 VHS tapes.
Oh my god.
I'm really dating
I was gonna
ourselves
say,
right now.
are we dating ourselves? Are we showing our age by talking about VHS tapes?
For elder millennials, it's fine.
Luca, welcome to the chat. That Vader broken helmet scene gave me chills. Dude, that scene, we're going to talk about it. That scene, I was bawling like a baby, man. I literally was just like, oh, Anakin. It was incredible. It was freaking incredible. I also love that it called back, at least I felt like it called back to Rebels and the season 2 finale, which
absolutely did.
Was dope. Oh, it was so great. Loved it. As Obi-Wan tells the people aboard the starship that he's going to be bailing to give them an opportunity to evade the Empire, Haja and Obi-Wan are speaking, and this is where we were talking about Haja is entrusted with Leia's survival and protection from Obi-Wan. And again, this is a scene that I really appreciated. I really hope we get to see more of Kumail Nanjiani in Andor or in other Star Wars stories. That would be great. Nanjiani is awesome.
I feel like he's gonna be the guy who's like popping up and does this little couple scenes, little couple lines, and he's like, all right, on to the next Star Wars or the next Marvel property. Like, just put him in everything.
Yeah, seriously, dude. Could you imagine that? Like, could you imagine just being like, I get to play a character in the Star Wars galaxy. I get to play a character in the MCU. Dude, that is baller. Who
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac, yes.
And Dune, I mean.
And yeah, dude, he's like trifecta.
Oh yeah, and Spider-Man and Moon Knight.
And Spider and Moon. Yeah, so much stuff.
I know I'm missing some Oscar Isaac stuff here. Because we're like talking. I mean, well, now you got
Indira Varma?
Yeah.
Indira Varma? Oh my god. We just had this conversation last week. Ilaria Sand from Game of Thrones. That will forever be how I know her.
And now she's got multiple things. I mean, there's plenty of actors that are crossing paths and getting into all these giant properties, IPs, whatever. Give them to me.
Saint Walker, how's it going? Welcome. Love the finale. Can't wait to see what's next. I agree. I'm super excited to see where some of these characters go, because I do think this is not the last we're going to see of some of these characters like Haja and Roken and maybe Sully. So yeah, very excited to see what comes next for some of these characters. We head back to Tatooine and Owen is telling Beru, yeah, we're in trouble. And is it here that Beru makes a comment to him like, Ben's not here. Yeah, thanks for that, dog.
Yeah, she did. I was like, ooh.
Seriously, Owen, what the hell?
He was kind of a jerk, though. Let's be real.
Which the scene at the end,
yeah.
Geez. We'll get to that. But yeah, I love how Beru's like, bro, come on. We had protection and you chased him away. Thanks a lot, guy. But he's letting Beru know Reva's on her way. We need to take care of the situation. And I appreciated too that she's like, we're not leaving, man. I'm not heading out into the desert. We're gonna stay and we're gonna work together to protect our family, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, no, and as we see, she is very prepared.
Oh, dude. Those sawed-off blasters.
I love how she's like, oh yeah, I'm prepared for this, and like pulls them out of a hidden cubby.
A woman of the West, man, like straight out of the goddamn wild, wild West.
Thank God she got out of that
wild,
cult.
wild outer rim. Love it. And then we're back on the starship, and this was such a dope moment. Another dope moment between Obi-Wan and Leia. He tells Leia that Roken took Tala's holster, which someone pointed out in the comments of our stream from last week. I could not see it because of how dark the scene was, but Tala's holster had little hash marks for people that she had saved, each family that she had saved, that's why I was getting so confused by that scene. I didn't know what she was pointing to. So I love that we find out Roken picked up the holster, gave it to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan gives it to Leia.
I get that he said he picked it up, but like that was around a dead woman's waist. Like
a blown up dead woman.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's true. She had a thermal detonator. Okay, I take that back, but I'm just like, that makes it worse.
Which makes me think of, we just started watching season 3 of The Boys, and like one of the characters in that episode just gets obliterated, like blown to pieces, and that's Tala, just blown to smithereens, and then Roken somehow picks up the holster from the remains of that.
Dude, I was gonna say spoiler warning, but I feel like with The Boys, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
People are getting blown up constantly.
Seriously, The Boys is another great show. But yeah, I appreciated this moment. I also appreciated that Leia makes a comment about a blaster, and Obi-Wan's like, I'm not going to give you a blaster, homegirl. Come on.
You're 10 years old.
You're 10 years old. But,
one day.
But so we're still not sure about this. I think at this moment, Leia gives, or maybe a little bit before, gives Obi-Wan Lola.
Okay, so I'm not going to say, I don't think... So I think I see it in your next screenshot when because
so you think
I watched
right
this
here,
a couple times. So right before she hugs him, it looks like she raises her eyebrows. At least that's what I thought I saw when I watched it. I thought she thinking like she conspired with Lola, and now she's like, yeah, go, because she's thinking back to that conversation they had a few minutes before where Obi-Wan's like, oh, maybe I need a little bit of distraction. Maybe I need Lola to help me from being afraid. So that was my thought.
Which is so cool. Which is dope.
I feel like that goes along with some of the things that Obi-Wan says at the end. Like, she's so kind-hearted and pays attention to people's feelings. So I feel like that kind of goes along with this. She was listening to Obi-Wan and hearing that he was afraid, and now she's going to try to comfort him as he goes off and has by himself.
I love it. I think you're 100% right, and I love that. And it makes perfect sense that Leia, sneaky little Leia, is going to put Lola in Obi-Wan's pocket for him, and it also gives him an excuse to visit her at the end, which is great. So yeah, it's just all these moments between Obi-Wan and Leia in this episode were freaking great for me. I loved every second of them. And it's funny because there were moments, and you've heard me say this, where I was just like, I don't know how I feel about Leia in this show and how she's being portrayed. But this episode absolutely crushed it with her portrayal. There was never any doubts, never any moments where I'm like, I don't like this. This is like melting my heart seeing her and Obi-Wan together. It was awesome.
Yeah, they're adorable.
And here's where we get the scene where Obi-Wan tells Roken, hey, you're a good leader. These people are going to need leaders like you. And Roken says, this isn't the last of me. Basically, Lucasfilm's way of saying, our boy's going to appear in other stuff. So I fully expect him to appear in Andor. And I do think we're going to see some connection between Andor and Obi-Wan. I don't know if it's just going to be Roken, if it's going to be Sully, if we'll see the path in Andor, if we're going to see Quinlan Vos in Andor, but I do think we are at 100% going to see a continuation of some of the stuff that we've seen in Obi-Wan in Andor, and I do think there's a good chance Roken is going to be a character we will see appear in Andor.
Yeah, I agree. I think he said, I'm just getting started. So like he is all down for the rebel cause distance. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the path, the rebel. Because at this point, early days of the rebellion. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing Roken possibly in Andor. This scene had me cracking up. Grand Inquisitor telling Darth Vader, dog, we probably should go after the insurgency, not just Obi-Wan, which the Grand Inquisitor is 100% right. Think about what we're just saying. Roken and the Path are probably going to show up again later on down the Star Wars timeline, and they could have just snuffed out the Path right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
But Vader is blinded by his need for revenge, his desire to kill Obi-Wan, that, nope, don't care about them. I'm going after Obi-Wan, and I don't care what you say.
Yeah, he was one-track mind, baby. But I love how the Grand Inquisitor kind of like turned away and rolled his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Like was totally just like, oh my God, this guy.
This is totally like when you're at work and your boss does something, you're like, are they tripping? This is exactly what it's like. Grand Inquisitor knows that Darth Vader is making a bad decision here, and I like that. And it shows just how blinded by hate and anger and revenge that Darth Vader is, and how alienating that could be, how lonely that could be. Even just in a moment like this, he's alienating himself from the Grand Inquisitor in a small way, just in terms of their decision making and their thoughts on what to do next. And I love that.
Vader is absolutely a one-man show. He's gonna keep himself alienated, lonesome, all by himself, because he's a lone wolf. He's not taking anybody's suggestions unless absolutely necessary.
This is a hill I'll die on.
Okay.
Rupert Friend forever as the Grand Inquisitor. Forever. He kills it as the Grand Inquisitor. I will die on that hill.
No, and I know we've talked about this and we've talked about it before. Like, it was just so like, whatever. Like, I'm not super thrilled, but on board, on that train.
And that's why I will die on that hill. He completely just blew me away with his performance. And even it's just a small, like 10, 20-second clip of him in this episode. And I'm still just like, he's awesome as the Grand Inquisitor.
He's a character that he like you said, he can talk for 10 seconds and you're like, I hate him. He reminds me a little bit of Dolores Umbridge in that aspect, where it's like literally 2 words can come out of their mouth and you're just like, I hate you with all of my being.
He just does he is phenomenal as the Grand Inquisitor. Bro, shout out to Rupert Friend. Shout out to
you president of his fan club.
What a great actor, man. What a great actor. St. Walker, if they make a Path spinoff, we need to see Quinlan Voss's return. Dude, I'm so hoping we get a Quinlan Voss live action appearance. I know we technically got Quinlan Voss in The Phantom Menace, but that's like a joke. Shouldn't say a joke, but that's very, very small potatoes. I want Quinlan Voss in live action. And I agree. If we get a potential Path spinoff, absolutely give us Quinlan Voss. Which I wonder, another thing that we could potentially see some of these characters come into play is the video game Jedi Survivor. Because I think, does it take place 5 or 10 years after Jedi Fallen Order? I think it takes place 5 years after Fallen Order, which would line up with the events of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I think we could see some of these characters in that video game Jedi Survivor. And I say this because Quinlan Voss would be great as appearing in that video game. So yeah, I agree, St. Walker. I really hope that we get to see Quinlan Voss, because I loved him in the Clone Wars. I love, what's the book?
Dark Disciple.
Dark Disciple. Thank you. I love Dark Disciple. So I would love to see a live action Quinlan Voss.
When you're talking about Quinlan, I just kept thinking of Asajj Ventress. I'm like, I know this isn't the right timeline. I know she's on at this point, but like, I would love to see her. I know, again, not the right avenue, but I'm like, oh, she'd be so cool as a live action.
It will forever bum me out that Asajj Ventress. Hopefully, no spoilers if you haven't read Dark Disciple.
Sorry.
But yeah, hopefully you have read it. But yeah, Asajj doesn't make it out of the end of Dark Disciple. And yeah, what a bummer, because she's also a fantastic character who I would love. That would be one. That's like one. I'm not the biggest fan of retcons, but that would be one retcon to be like, bro, I'm all right with that one because Asajj is awesome.
Yeah, she's such a cool, complex character.
So more of Vader ruminating, just being a hateful SOB.
I like how you just threw in the screenshot just so you can say
it looks awesome. Vader is just forever one of the coolest looking villains, and I love he's just stewing. He sees Obi-Wan, he thinks he's there for the taking, that he's going to be able to easily kill and defeat, and boy is he wrong, and I love it. I love it. And now we get this shot of Obi-Wan, and I'm pretty sure this is where he learns that Leia is with him. Or, excuse me, not Leia, Lola. Our homegirl Lola has made the trip with him. I believe it is when he discovers her. Oh, am I mistaken? You're looking at me.
I think you're wrong, because I think it's... I thought... Oh, he is on the ship.
He's on the ship, yeah.
I didn't see your screenshots before you see them, so I'm just as surprised and excited as y'all are.
Oh, wait, here we go. There she is. There's our homegirl. There's our homegirl, which, dude, all I kept thinking about, too, this is how much of a dork I am. I'm like, yo, I want a Lola toy.
Oh, add it to our collection.
Give me Lola, Ned B. Bro, we got to find a Ned B toy. I need a Ned B toy. I would love a Lola toy. Lola's so cute. And also, did you notice I've been skipping through the intros the last probably like 4 or 5 episodes, but I know this time I sat through them. Lola's right there in the intro when they're showing all the heads of the characters and like the droids. Yeah, and she definitely looks like Mickey Mouse ears.
Oh yeah, I definitely have watched. I must have watched it one time when you were not with me, because I was like, I'm not gonna see this, and I thought at first I thought it was Mickey Mouse, and I was like, that's not Mickey Mouse. That doesn't make any sense.
Oh yeah, it's Lola. That's right. More Hayden, says Luca. Yeah, Hayden was great. Hayden was freaking fantastic, especially in this episode, which we'll get to. Oh, yeah, I agree. More Hayden for sure. Then we come back to Tatooine. Reva has arrived at the Lars homestead, and I thought it was great how all the droids and the moisture evaporators, are they moisture evaporators? I think that's what they're called. Whatever those things are that catch the moisture are called. They're all lit up red. The proximity alarm has gone off. Owen and Beru know that Reva has arrived, and it's going to start to get real. And then I cannot wait to find out what the name of this planet is, because it is dope as hell. And we come and find Darth Vader and Obi-Wan are ready to go toe-to-toe with each other. And holy crap, I mentioned this to you earlier. There's like a 10-second clip when Vader lands and Obi-Wan and Vader are coming up to one another to get ready to duel. And the shots that we see are absolutely beautiful. This shot is awesome. This shot is beautiful. I had to bump up. It is like pitch black in this scene. I had to bump up the brightness.
But it looked amazing.
But look how cool that looks. Just so freaking dope.
It almost looks like it could be a print. Like, I know obviously you bumped up the lightness or whatever you want to call it, and it looks a little grainy. But like, this would be such a cool shot as a print.
I agree. I love that you mentioned that, because I thought that multiple times in this episode when we see Obi-Wan pleading essentially to Anakin after he slices Darth Vader's helmet. You see his face is bathed in blue. Darth Vader's face and helmet winds up being bathed in red. And I'm like, those shots right there would be awesome silkscreen prints. And there's multiple times in this episode where I'm like, that would make an awesome print. I would not be surprised if there's going to be people that will be making art prints from moments from this episode and the series as a whole, which, hell yeah, we got to cop some of those once they drop.
There's a nice blank wall to my left that I think would look really spectacular with a giant print like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And dude, this moment, I love this freaking moment. Jedi Master Obi-Wan, he's almost back. He's 95% back. And our boy he's got the pose. I remember when I was younger, when Revenge of the Sith came out, I was like, yo, that's kind of whack that he does the finger thing, the two fingers. But now I love it. Now I love that he does that. That's his pose. And we were watching Star Wars Explains live streamed earlier, and the two guys that he had on that Alex had on the show, I really like those guys, Ken and Joseph maybe. And one of them made a comment about Obi-Wan in part 3. He's not choosing to duel Darth Vader. That duel is being forced on him. Darth Vader is trying to kill Obi-Wan there, and Obi-Wan is just trying to survive. Here we are 3 episodes later, and Obi-Wan is choosing to go toe-to-toe with Vader. And I love that. That was something I hadn't thought of. And it's so true. He's choosing to fight Vader to help save a ship full of people, to give them an opportunity to evade the Empire. That's Jedi Master Obi-Wan, man. This is the Obi-Wan that we are accustomed to seeing from the prequels, and I freaking love it. I'm here for it. This is the good stuff.
No, it was kind of like seeing him power up. He's like ready to go. He's like you said, almost at full power, feeling himself. He's getting into the zone. He's ready to step up to the plate and hopefully take down a Lord Vader.
And I love the back and forth between these two. And I'm trying to remember exactly what Darth Vader says in them. I probably should have taken some notes.
I guess that's just not our MO at this point.
But I love the back and forth between these two here. It's just really great. And then we get this duel that was just wow. I don't even know how to describe my emotions in this moment. The choreography of this duel was spectacular. The music during this duel gave me chills. It was just such an amazing moment and an amazing duel. This is probably going to wind up being like one of my favorite live action duels. It was so great.
I feel like this is the duel that everybody's been kind of waiting and hoping for. Obviously, we're going to save it to the end, but like this is the good stuff. This is what folks have been wanting, and it's so exciting and it's so fun to watch.
And I love too, at one point you see Vader, just like we saw in episode 3, Vader starts out dueling Obi-Wan just holding the hilt of his saber with one hand. But then he realizes, yo, bro, I gotta sharpen up here. And we see here in this image, he's got 2 hands on his hilt because he knows this is a much stronger Obi-Wan than the Obi-Wan he encountered in part 3. And one of the things I love that we saw in part 5, and we see it here again, both using the Force to like push their opponents, their hands and their lightsabers away. I love that. That was something that I loved seeing in The Rise of Skywalker, and something that I loved seeing in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's so fun to kind of see how duels have evolved over time, or like since the original trilogy. Like, I know the whole supposed to be originally like samurai type dueling, but man, if this stuff isn't exciting, I don't know what is.
Yeah, Saint Walker says, I think this fight was the perfect blend of prequel and original trilogy choreography. Yeah, I agree. It really blended. We talked about this. I loved that this series incorporated aspects of things we saw in the prequels and moments and aspects of the original trilogy. I think it did a fantastic job. You know, we talked about this earlier before the stream, that for me, I grew up with the prequels, and those tend to be the films I usually go back to when I'm sick and I'm like, yo, I don't want to do nothing but hang in my bed and watch Star Wars. Usually I put on one of the prequel films or the Clone Wars.
Or The Last Jedi, I think you've
done.
Or
The Last Jedi, yep. And so for me, a lot of the moments in this series, even though there were a lot of callbacks to the original trilogy, so many of the moments in this series brought me back to the prequels, which I loved and I thought was so great. And I loved that, just as St. Walker mentioned, that there is that blending, even just in the choreography of how we saw Anakin and Vader duel in Revenge of the Sith, some of the more samurai-esque fighting that we saw these two do in A New Hope, and then incorporating some of the elements of dueling that we saw in The Rise of Skywalker. So I really, really loved this duel. It was fantastic.
I don't have anything to add. I'm just like basking in it looked beautiful. I've said it a million times. I love how the lightsabers look in this.
I was just gonna bring up the lightsabers. Dude, so there was a moment where Obi-Wan like twirls his saber. I think it was basically when we got like full-fledged Obi-Wan Jedi Master, where he is just beast mode in it, level 100 Obi-Wan. He twirls his lightsaber and you hear the hum and the trill of the lightsaber. I'm just like, dude, these lightsabers are dope. They're so freaking awesome. They look incredible. I agree. Lightsabers are freaking. Back at the Lars homestead, Reva is ready to cause some trouble. And I thought it was funny here. Owen and Beru blasting away. It reminded me of Frank from
Oh my God.
It's Always Sunny. Anyway, I started blasting because that's not going to do anything. Owen just starts throwing objects at Reva. Not going to do anything to her.
But I just want to point out something, and I just found this slightly humorous. Okay, we're on Tatooine. Moisture is they're moisture farmers. There's not a lot of moisture.
No.
Why are there so many green plants?
That's an excellent point.
That is so much water.
That is an excellent point. Maybe if the Star Wars galaxy can create a steel door that could withstand a heavy blaster, but you can whisper to one another from opposite sides of it. We're gonna say they've developed technology or farming techniques to be able to use minimal amounts of moisture for the greenery. That's my headcanon.
I didn't say I hated it. I just said it was an observation. Let's be real. I just don't care. I mean, it looked cool. It's a beautiful little homestead that they have there. Making an observation.
Dog, that homestead is dope. Imagine getting to live in a homestead like that. That'd be pretty baller.
Oh, you have an indoor patio? They have a courtyard.
They got a courtyard, dude.
Living it up.
They're more baller than we are. They got a courtyard.
We can't even. We have a patio.
We got a patio. We got a front yard.
Hey.
Backyard. So, but yeah, they got a courtyard. So they're one up in us.
So fancy.
And I love this moment here. We get to this moment because, again, as we mentioned earlier, Obi-Wan he's not yet hit peak 100 level Obi-Wan. This is 95 level Obi-Wan before he's fully formed. Vader makes a comment to him that your strength has returned, but the weakness still remains. And we'll come to find out what that weakness is in a little bit. But I love these two here, and I love you see the strength in Vader. He just throws that rock spire with the Force like it's nothing.
Yeah, sorry. I was just thinking about what a sassy bee Vader can sometimes be.
He is a sassy pants. You're right.
Sorry. I spaced out for a second. I was just like, God, why is he so sassy?
And then he used the Force with his. This was, I thought, a dope Force power. I don't know. I can't recall if this is something we've seen in previous live action or shows. I don't think so.
There's something like this in Rise of Skywalker. I'm thinking of Rey, but I know.
Don't think so. Either way, I thought this was really cool. Just he's gonna use the Force to bury Obi-Wan here. Because, as he mentioned, although Obi-Wan's strength has returned, he still has that weakness, which we'll come to find out is him holding on to that feeling that he failed Anakin. That is what's holding him back from being the Jedi Master that we know, from being the Obi-Wan that we see in A New Hope. I love that we get to see that. And then we come back to Reva, hair disheveled as can be, Owen trying his best to hold her off to give Luke a fighting chance. And again, I love that we're seeing Vader's story playing out with Obi-Wan, Reva's story playing out at the same time, because you're seeing these two characters are driven by hate and by, Reva mentions she wants justice. In Vader's mind, he wants justice for what Obi-Wan did to him. Their stories are, these characters are walking parallel lines right now, but Reva will eventually be able to deviate from that course, whereas Vader will not be able to, not until Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, he's got a long time left. But yeah, Reva, again, she's not at full power right now. She's definitely injured. The fact that Owen can even slightly hold her off. But man, he is definitely getting beat up at this point.
Yeah, I at this moment, because Owen like jacks up her gut wound.
Oh my God.
It brought back to what the Grand Inquisitor said, right? The desire for revenge does wonders for the will to live, something to that effect, right? And that's what's keeping Reva alive right now. She's tapping very heavily into the dark side to be able to stay alive here, because she's seething with rage. She wants revenge just as much as Vader does.
Fueled by hate.
And then we get this moment that was one of the most grueling moments for me in terms of emotions. I just started bawling here, because we see Obi-Wan, he's failing, he's buried under the rocks that Vader has crushed him with, and he can't find the strength to lift them because he's still plagued by that failure of Anakin falling to the dark side and the fall of the Jedi Order. And it's not until he starts to think about Luke and Leia, the hope that they could bring to the galaxy, his care for these two. And dude, that just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I just started crying like a damn baby. And I these were things that I was not expecting from this show. These were as cool as the duel was. This moment here and some of the moments that we get later in the episode were the moments where, like, if I have to choose scenes from this, only a handful of scenes from this episode or this series to watch, it'd be these moments. It'd be this moment where we see Obi-Wan thinking about Luke and Leia to be able to find the strength to save his life and then be able to take down Vader is just so awesome. And to me, it exemplifies what it means to be a Jedi, what it means to be attuned to the light side of the Force. I'd mentioned this to you. I kept thinking about multiple times in this episode, just quotes of Yoda, things that Yoda said, my ally is the Force and what a strong ally it is. Or even just his moments, Yoda speaking to Luke in The Last Jedi. And again, that just made me even more start crying. Like, it was just so amazing for me and so impactful, so emotionally overwhelming. And I loved every damn second of it.
Yeah, I mean, I love how you're seeing Obi-Wan, when he changes his emotion or what he's thinking about from the past and the terrible things that have happened, and how he feels about Anakin and the things that Anakin said to him. The thinking about the future and what that could hold with Luke and Leia. It's giving him that fuel to live. And then you kind of see Reva that's fueled by her anger and hatred and revenge. She's not doing as well as she thinks she should be. And kind of seeing their feelings and how it's fueling them and how it's affecting what's going on in their stories.
One of the things that I love about Star Wars is that we see this come up so often, right? How seductive the dark side is. It's a quick and easy path to gaining power and gaining these insane abilities and this insane strength. But being more in touch with the dark side or excuse me, the light side provides even more strength than people who are like Vader and Sidious, who are super in tuned with the dark side. And I love this moment. This was like, if I can only choose a handful of scenes from this series to watch, this would be one of them. It was super, super impactful for me and super special. And then we come back to Vader and Obi-Wan dueling, and this goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Vader using the Force to push, or I think at this point he's holding off Obi-Wan's lightsaber. Just so freaking awesome, so dope. I loved it. And then, dude, full power Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is just Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi as a boss.
Oh my God, this was so amazing. And God, I hate, like, the first thing, like, the Force isn't just lifting rocks. I was like, oh my God.
I loved when you said that to me, because I thought the same thing as well, right? That is it The Last Jedi?
It's The Last Jedi, because they're getting out of the cave.
Yeah.
There's Rey standing there with all the rocks.
I love it. It's so awesome. And you're just seeing, because earlier in the fight, Darth Vader uses a boulder. He uses the Force to push throw a boulder at Obi-Wan's legs and knock Obi-Wan over. And again, just showcasing how much stronger the someone's power in the light side can be when you are that attuned to the light side. Obi-Wan is throwing a barrage of boulders at Darth Vader. And shout out to, what is his name? Silo, that created Darth Vader's armor. I think it was the silent scientist Silo. At least he created Darth Vader's original armor. Because, dude, that armor can withstand a beating.
Oh my God, absolutely.
I was just my dog, you can take a pummeling, man.
I would hope so. He's made out of, I don't know, materials, steel, and who knows. I mean, he's mostly machine.
Mostly machine. But yeah, this moment was super dope. This would be another moment. This would be another scene I could just watch this moment on repeat of Obi-Wan just hurling boulders at Darth Vader. It was incredible. And we come to this moment, which couldn't contain myself here either. We see Anakin's face and hearing Hayden Christensen's voice mixed in with
Jones.
James Earl Jones. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the distortion there was great. And I love that Obi-Wan is pleading with Anakin and calling out to Anakin. And you see the sadness in Obi-Wan's face. Dude, another balling. My eyes out here. I was just a ball of tears, man.
You can just see the pain. He's in so much pain. He loves his best friend, his brother, and he knows that he is gone.
And I love too that Obi-Wan tells Anakin, I'm sorry for all of it. For all of it. And again, I'm going to keep going back to the book Brotherhood. There's moments in the book where Obi-Wan, he's not outright saying, hey, I know those Padme and Anakin are married. But he knows something's up between Padme and Anakin. And I say this because when he said to Anakin or to Darth Vader, I'm sorry for all of it, one of my thoughts was, I'm sorry that I couldn't be there for you so that you and Padme can be together. I'm sorry that I helped the Jedi Order create this super dogmatic organization that doesn't allow people to have loving attachments with one another, when we know that
Not
still allows you to be just as in touch with the light side as anyone else. And so this moment was like grueling for me.
Yeah, it was definitely rough. I watched part of it on my lunch. I was like sitting in my office, the lights off. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. You'll be okay.
Bill Kuhn, how often do you go live? We just started doing this with Obi-Wan. I think we're going to continue doing some sort of live stream Danny Girl and I are trying to figure out. We're going to be talking about this more, about how we want to stream, how we want that to look like when there's no shows. But we're definitely going to continue to do live streams 100% when shows are dropping. Most likely when even we don't have shows dropping. So yeah, we'll definitely be doing more live streams in the future. This moment was ridiculous. This was a moment where I'm like, dude, this is a silkscreen print right here, because Vader tells Obi-Wan, you didn't kill Anakin, I did. I was just like, oh my God, man. Dude. And the blue of Obi-Wan's lightsaber just bathing his face, absolutely grueling.
I loved the lighting in this like set. What is it, like 3 minutes long or however long it is? Like kind of going from the blue to the purple to the red at the end.
Yep.
This was just
spectacular. And look at that smirk on him, on his face.
I know.
Just
he was sneering.
Like straight up hateful, evil Vader, man. And this is tormenting poor Obi-Wan. Our boy just heartbroken. And this was a moment where, again, I mentioned earlier, this would be a great silkscreen print, or this. Jesus Christ, like horrifying. But I had Deborah Chow directed this episode, and hats off to Deborah Chow. I love the use of lighting throughout this episode. You look at the episode, once we get past the climax of Obi-Wan's duel with Vader, with Reva and Luke, and then now we get to kind of like the, what is it called? Is it a prologue? Epilogue is the ending, right? Basically, we get to the epilogue, and now everything's light. Everything is super bright. But if you look from the start of the episode up to when Reva brings Luke Skywalker back to the Lars homestead, everything is like pitch black. And I love Deborah Chow's use of lighting in this episode. This shot right here is just frightening, just absolutely terrifying. And again, made me think of Rebels.
Yeah, I think Rebels, it's the opposite side of his face.
You might be
that
right.
Gets busted up. But I'm also just want to be like, yeah, his suit is great, but someone needs to work on a helmet. Although maybe that just goes to show you how powerful Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are.
That's very true. I mean, they're both super powerful, and they've both been able to jack up Vader's helmet. Vader's helmet has gotten messed up in other moments. So maybe this is an indictment on that scientist. I think it's Silo. I'm pretty sure that's the scientist that created Vader's armor. And I love how we get this moment where Obi-Wan doesn't kill Vader. That's not Obi-Wan's journey. Even though we know that Obi-Wan can't kill Vader because of A New Hope. But to me, I mentioned this to you. To me, this was a completely Jedi act. The Jedi do not attack. They act in defense of self-defense and defense of others. They don't kill when they do not have to. And Obi-Wan does not have to kill Vader here.
No.
Vader is completely defeated. You could make the argument, though, that, hey, by letting Vader live, you're allowing the Empire and Vader to continue the atrocities that they do.
Well, I mean, would missing Vader, let's say if Obi-Wan had killed Vader here, would that have really changed with the Empire? Exactly.
No, because Sidious would have just found himself whomever was next on his list of possible candidates for his apprentice. So no, you're right. Yeah. And I love that Obi-Wan just walks away because Vader is completely defeated, and still Vader cannot let it go. He wants Obi-Wan dead and just locked in a prison of hatred and revenge and loneliness and sadness. It's perfect. And I love too how loud, when you hear him scream, it gets like distorted. When you hear him scream Obi-Wan, like my thought is they probably told Hayden Christensen, like, yell as loud as you can into the mic and then we'll fix it up in post. Because it just sounds so evil.
Yeah, they definitely were going full rage here. So you can't show your hatred.
And as we mentioned earlier, we come back to Reva, who has Luke knocked out, and she's going to kill him, and she can't. Because again, although she's following a similar path as Vader, unlike Vader, she sees the error in her ways and the decisions that she's making, and she decides, I'm going to make a change. She makes that choice to not become totally evil like Vader and does not kill Luke here. And I love too that you're seeing her. She sees when she's looking at Luke, she sees herself because, hey, it's the same thing, right? It's a scared little kid being hunted by someone super scary, super way stronger than them. And she sees herself and Luke as he's laying there. And again, I love the use of light here. I love that you see her face bathed in red. And it's a little bit after this, she goes to pull up her lightsaber to kill Luke, and she can't do it. And I love that.
Yeah, I love how they kept flashing back between her as a little girl and Luke, and how they have her with her hood up right now, and they are kind of going to flashbacks of her thinking of Anakin, to again just kind of draw us a little bit more on those parallels. And I love how they, when she went to go torture Leia, you could, what was it? What episode was it? 4?
Episode 4. I thought that earlier. I was like, I love that Danielle brought that up because you were 100% right.
Like, and I just love how they were laying the groundwork and giving us these little tidbits and clues to just make her character and make this choice that much stronger.
I'm so happy you had brought that up in episode 4 because I can't remember if it was the first time I watched this or the second time. I thought back to episode 4 when you had mentioned the hesitation in Reva when she looked like she was going to torture Leia. I was like, yo, my wife was on point. She was onto something. So I thought that was great. Saint Walker, noticed some people get mad confused that Obi-Wan didn't kill Vader. To me, he wasn't only showing him mercy, but after reconnecting to the light side again, he accepted that it's not his destiny. I love that. And I agree with you completely. He has completely rebalanced himself with the light side, and killing someone is not a light side, is not something that a Jedi or a lightsider is going to do. Vader is defeated there. And as we mentioned, I don't think him killing Vader is going to do anything. Palpatine already, Palpatine has a list of, he's got contingencies upon contingencies upon contingencies. If Obi-Wan kills Vader there, Palpatine will just find another person to use as his pawn. I mean, we saw in the Darth Vader comics, Darth Vader, or Sidious had Vader fight a bunch of Force users to see if he was worthy enough to be his apprentice. In the current Greg Pak Darth Vader comic series, he does the same thing to Vader. So to me, Vader dying there would serve no purpose to the story. Obi-Wan walking away just hammers home the point that this is the Obi-Wan that we know from the prequels and know from the New Hope. He's grown tremendously from where we saw him at the start of this episode to getting back to that Jedi Master. He still has work to do, but he's back to being a Jedi Master, and I think him showing Vader mercy there just hammers that point home.
Yeah, 1,000% agree. I mean, Vader's totally incapacitated at that point. Like, yeah, he can use Force, but he can hardly breathe. The boy's wheezing on his.
To go back quickly to the duel with Vader and Obi-Wan, I loved, and people have mentioned this because I've done some videos on Darth Vader and have talked about his armor. People have brought up, why don't people just attack Vader's armor and some of the controls on there that act as his life support? I love that Obi-Wan did that. Obi-Wan just starts jacking up his life support, and at that point, he was just toast.
I was literally just like with the butt of his lightsaber. Like, it wasn't even like
so
slicing and dicing. Although he did get Vader did get sliced on the back.
Yeah.
But I mean, a mere flesh wound.
And so second time through, at this point, when we get Reva bringing Luke back to Owen and Beru, I was bawling my eyes out here. And dude, yo, shout out to Moses Ingram. She freaking killed it in this episode, and especially in this scene. We watched this again during dinner, and I was like crying my eyes out again during this scene, because she's saying, Vader killed my fellow younglings, and I failed them by going down this dark path. And I love that Obi-Wan tells her, by choosing to not continue down that path, you honor them. And again, just tears, waterworks flowing here, guys. Like, I could not control myself. Although I immediately got pissed at Reva when she dumped the lightsaber. I'm like, bro, that lightsaber is so dope. Don't get rid of it. Use it for good. Use it to help the path, or maybe be in Jedi Survivor.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I do not think we've seen the last of Reva.
Hope not. That would be awesome to kind of see her struggle with totally giving up the dark side and going to the light. Maybe she decides to go back for that cool double-bladed lightsaber and, what is it?
Purify. I was just going to say that. Dude, how freaking dope would it be to see her purify those crystals and have a double-bladed white lightsaber like Orla Jarini?
That'd be really
how
cool.
freaking dope would that be? But yeah, I'm like, when I saw her drop the hilt into the sand, I'm like, girl, what you doing?
Yeah, there's
Pick that back up.
So many blades in the Tatooine sands.
So way too many. Way too many. At the bare minimum, go sell it on the black market, man.
Gosh.
Oh, dude. And then Ian McDermott, that lion SOB, telling Star Wars Celebration he's not in Obi-Wan. Man, this was great. This was, I mentioned this to you, as cool as this moment was, I feel like this moment paled in comparison for me. I wasn't like, oh my God, Sidious. It was still really cool though. But I for some reason, when we saw Sidious appear, I thought I would be more emotionally impacted, but I think just how maybe I just had no, I was like, what's her name from Arrested Development? I had no more moisture to spare. I was just too many tears already. I had no more moisture to spare, man. I was like those moisture fibers on Tatooine. I ain't got enough moisture.
I mean, this was definitely very cool. I mean, you could, honestly, let's be real. This is probably like what, a day of work. I mean, it was a short, 30-second, 60-second scene.
Yeah.
So it was very quick. Could have done with or without it, but I mean, it was cool to see it and just kind of see Palpatine, kind of see Vader and how his one-track mind is right now.
Yeah, and Palpatine says to Vader, are you, as your encounter with Obi-Wan weakened you, right? And Vader tells him, no, I'm your servant. You're my master. Which just goes to show you the difference between Obi-Wan and Vader. Obi-Wan is tapping into those altruistic emotions that we associate with the light side. Love and care, selflessness. And Vader looks at those as weakness, where when we look at Obi-Wan, those are what gave him strength to just wallop Vader. But Vader still looks at that as weakness, and for him, hate and anger are the only tools for his power. And that's the one thing that I did really like about this scene, aside from just getting Sidious appearing on Vader's holoprojector in Vader's castle.
Yeah, that castle is so cool.
So dope. And I also love that when we saw, because when we get to Vader's castle, it kind of starts, the scene starts in the clouds and then slowly descends towards Vader's castle. And I'm just like, here's Vader. He's still stuck in this hell that he has created for himself, right? Figuratively and metaphorically, or literally and figuratively, he is stuck on Mustafar in this prison that he's created for himself because he feels like he cannot turn back from the horrible things that he has done. And he's going to be stuck in this prison until our boy Luke breaks him out in the original trilogy.
Yeah, we got some time. Got some time, got some damage to do in the meantime.
And then we get to the epilogue and our girl Leia with her holster and her gloves.
Her boots.
And her boots. I love too that you see her like, is this mirroring where, you know, when we first saw Leia in part 1, where it's the little girl that she got to take her place.
Her handmaiden or something.
And here she is. She's doing it she's getting all dressed by herself. Doesn't need to have any handmaidens help her. But she's got her own flair. Hearkening to the Leia that we'll come to know in the original trilogy. And I thought this was super cute.
Awesome. And I love when Rhea comes in and she's just like, okay, you're ready to go.
You got a holster? All right, cool, dope. Let's go. Yeah, I feel like my parents would have reacted way differently if I was rocking a holster.
Just knows she's got a very headstrong little girl.
And dude, I love this moment too with Bail and Leia. Bail has always been an OG. He's always been a character. I'm like, yo, Bail's my boy. This series has definitely made me appreciate Bail, especially because of our conversations with him. And I love the conversation here between Leia and Bail here, where basically Leia is saying, I'm going to take on a leadership role, but I'm going to do things differently. I want to make changes in how I plan to lead, which is great because we know Leia's going to be a great leader and she's going to do things her own way. And then we get probably the most emotional moment for me, emotional overload moment for me. My eyes are still puffy because of this scene. Obi-Wan, and I also got a good chuckle here because Obi-Wan comes, he brings Lola to Leia, and Leia asks Obi-Wan, what's he going to do now? And Obi-Wan asks her, well, what do you think I should do? And her response, I think you need some sleep. I love that because then the tears come. Obi-Wan starts to tell Leia about her parents and the traits that she has from both of her parents, from Padme and Anakin. And Ewan McGregor's delivery of these lines here, like I'm starting to get choked up just even like thinking about that scene. It was so incredible. Ewan McGregor's delivery during this scene was spectacular. This scene was just super, super amazing. And this scene is one of the moments where, had you asked me at the start of this episode, never once would I have ever said, I want a scene of Obi-Wan telling Leia about her parents. And now this will probably be a scene where I'm like, hey, I want to watch some Star Wars. I will probably want to watch this episode specifically because of this scene and how amazing it is.
This episode just had so many impactful moments that even if it's, I mean, honestly, you'd probably just watch the whole episode and get that good feeling you need. Because I feel like watching the duel would be something to go back to. Watching that scene where Obi-Wan's talking to Vader with his helmet smashed, like this scene, it's just lots of impactful moments in this episode.
I love that he tells her not only about Padme, but tells her about Anakin and speaks, even though he know what has become of Anakin, he still speaks highly of Anakin to Leia. I loved it. I'm getting choked up again thinking about it. All right. So then we come back to Tatooine and it's moving day for Obi-Wan. He's moving up in the world to his, at some point, he's moving into his little like hut. I don't know if it's at this moment, but that would be my guess is he's moving out of his cave into his hut so that he can keep an eye on Luke, but not at such a close distance. And I love too that he picks up the toy to bring to Luke. And we get to see him speak to Owen, and we get Obi-Wan looking very much like the Obi-Wan from the comics, which I was like, wait a second. I know we've seen that Obi-Wan somewhere. That looks very much like our boy,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
I
minus
love
the
that.
eyeliner.
Minus,
But
yeah. I
but I
love
love
that
it.
he looks very much like what we've seen Obi-Wan in the comics. This is from the Star Wars run. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the author's name, but Luke Skywalker finds Obi-Wan's journal and he's reading about Obi-Wan's time on the Tatooine desert. And so, yeah, as soon as I saw Obi-Wan's outfit, I'm like, oh my God, that looks like Obi-Wan from the comic, which I loved.
Awesome. I want to know how he got the gaffy stick.
Spent some time with the Tusken Raiders. I'm trying to, did they talk about that in the comic? I don't remember. It's been years since I've read that comic run.
Okay, I just feel like that's maybe another adventure for another day.
Yeah. And this scene, this was a moment where I'm like, I didn't think it would get me choked up. But again, another moment where I started bawling my eyes out, him coming up to Luke and saying hello there, which through the tears, I start chuckling.
Give the people what they want.
Ewan McGregor, he is the man. Just, I can't say enough good things about Ewan McGregor in this series. And then, dude, bawling like a baby here too. When Qui-Gon appears, I was so happy to see Qui-Gon. I was so happy, and Qui-Gon tells Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan asks him, hey, where have you been? I've been here this whole time. You just were not ready to find me yet, or something along those lines. It was just so great. Yo, shout out to my coworker, Laura. She and I were talking about how excited we were to watch the episode, and I said to her, hey, I hope Qui-Gon appears. Like, let's be real, Dan. Liam Neeson just chases the money. Think about all those Taken films he's been in. You know our boy's going to be in Obi-Wan. I was like, that's a great point that I never thought of. He's in it. He's going to be in. So shout out to Laura for at least giving me that chuckle. But yeah, this was great. So glad that we got Qui-Gon here, and I love that he says, hey, we got a long ways to go. Let's get to it. Because again, even though Obi-Wan is back to being a Jedi Master, there's still more to learn. Even when you're a black belt, there's still more to learn. Your learning never finishes. You can always improve upon your skills, and that's what Obi-Wan's going to continue to do over the next 9 to 10 years until A New Hope will arrive, the events of A New Hope. He's going to continue to work on himself, to stay attuned to the light side, make sure to protect Luke, because we know Maul's going to be coming at some point in the next couple of years, but he's going to work on himself.
Yeah, I just love how Qui-Gon was like, I've been here and you were not ready, which clearly at the beginning of this series, Obi-Wan was not ready for this interaction. That's just bottom line. So to see, it was only just a brief snippet, but it wet our whistles and got us what we wanted. And it was still a really impactful moment.
Saint Walker, I think he defended the Jawas from the Tuskens at night as a way to stay in shape and earn some credits. Yeah, they're going back to that Star Wars comic series. When Luke's reading Obi-Wan's journal, he learns that Obi-Wan wound up, the Jabba the Hutt put a tax on moisture farmers, and Obi-Wan winds up fighting off Jabba's thugs. I'm pretty sure I think that's in that arc we get a scene of Owen freaking out at Obi-Wan because he leaves some parts for Luke. But yeah, I think also we learn that he might have been jacking up some Tuskens as well. I'm trying to remember if we do see Tuskens. I do know he was jacking up Jabba's thugs. That I do know. But yeah, he'll definitely find ways to stay in shape over the next decade or so in the sands of Tatooine. So what would you say overall? What's your overall opinion both of the episode and the series as a whole out of 10? How would you rank this episode? How would you rank the series?
Ooh, I feel like honestly, as a whole, this was an awesome series. I had so much fun. I loved how it is a package deal. I felt like at the end of this episode, it was like everything was wrapped up in a bow. Obviously not every single question was answered, like what happens to Reva or what's her life going to be like moving forward. But that I really, really liked this series.
Yeah, you know me, I'm super into music, and I always say this to people. For me, albums that wind up being the most impactful for me are the ones that start really strong and finish really strong. Even if maybe the middle isn't always the best. And I feel like that's exactly what Obi-Wan did. It came out of the gate super, super strong. Episode 3 and 4 were okay. They weren't terrible. They weren't the most amazing Star Wars moments, but they were still pretty good. 5 and 6 were 5 was really good. 6 was spectacular. To me, if I had to give a score at 8 out of 10 is what I would probably give for the series as a whole. This episode for me was like a 9.5 out of 10, because the only knock I give it is just the moment in the beginning on the starship between the people of the path and Obi-Wan. But other than that, the episode was spectacular. The series as a whole was very, very good. It did leave some stuff unanswered, but I think that was done intentionally. Like with Reva, with Roken, I think this is not the last we've seen of those characters. I do think Reva's story is not finished, and we're going to see her appear again, and I really, 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 really hope so. I'd rather see more of Reva than of Roken, but I think we're going to probably get both of them in more Star Wars stories.
Yeah, I like the 8 out of 10. I was thinking about how I would absolutely go back and rewatch it, and I know I will go back and rewatch it. And not just like bits and pieces. And I'm kind of thinking of some of the more recent like Marvel shows or series that we've watched. And again, I mean, I know Star Wars is higher on my list of things I would pick to watch than Marvel, just more into the fandom. But thinking about like, oh, I probably won't go back and watch Book of Boba Fett other than that one episode that was like,
yeah, there's the 2 episodes with Din, or maybe 3 episodes with Din. I can't remember exactly. Yeah. If I'm rewatching anything from the Book of Boba Fett, it's only the episodes with Din and Grogu.
like I would rewatch this. I've obviously rewatched Rebels, Clone Wars. This I would absolutely go back to multiple times.
Yeah, this is absolutely going to be something that I will revisit over the years to come. I think this is the beauty to me of Disney Plus too. This was supposed to be a film that got scrapped, but gained a new life because of Disney Plus, and I love that. I'm so glad that we get these stories that get to showcase characters that we love, like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Darth Vader. It's dope. And yeah, this series gave me everything I wanted to see in it, probably, and more. So yeah, to me, this was an excellent and fun series that I will 100% be revisiting.
God, I can't wait to see more from Deborah Chow.
I agree.
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I want Lucasfilm to be like a brain trust, kind of like what they've got going on with the High Republic. Have it be a brain trust of like Deborah Chow, Jon Favreau, although Jon Favreau took a little bit of a hit with the Book of Boba Fett, because the Book of Boba Fett really wasn't that great, but that's a conversation for another day. Dave Filoni, Rick Famuyiwa, is that how you pronounce his last name? My apologies.
Yes, and what? Oh my God, what the heck did? Oh,
Bryce Dallas Howard.
I was just gonna say, I think Rick Famuyiwa was promoted to executive producer. I feel like he's doing something big, and I can't remember. I'm sorry.
And then we're gonna get Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie, which I'm super pumped about. Oh my God,
that's farther down the line. That's not even what's coming later this summer.
Dude, in just a handful of months, 2 months from now, we're getting Andor. So I think
Bad Batch. Isn't
Is
that
Bad Batch coming?
2023?
No, is it? I think it's coming out in the fall.
So
Oh
many.
my god, I know there's so much stuff. Like it's hard to keep track. I think the Bad Batch is coming out this fall.
That sounds about right.
But either way, we just got so much stuff to look forward to. I think that's a good stopping point. We're going on an hour and 30
God.
minutes. We will 100% continue doing live streams for Andor. As I mentioned, Danny Grill and I, we're trying to figure out how we want to do our live streams when there are no shows to talk about. But there's always Star Wars stuff to talk about that we're probably going to continue to do live streams. I'm thinking I'm probably going to want to take next week off because we've got a lot going on right now, but we will definitely
What's next
be
week?
back with doing live streams in the coming weeks again to talk about all the awesome news for this amazing fandom. Maybe I shouldn't say amazing galaxy, we'll say.
I like that. I also just want to give a shout out to those folks that were watching tonight. It was really cool to see an active chat. You guys are awesome, and this is super cool. I had so much fun.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, shout out to all the homies joining the live chat today. This live stream and chatting with us today. This was dope. So, with that note, if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 20,000 subscribers, which I don't know how that happened, but hell yeah. Follow us on TikTok. I don't really use other social media anymore, so TikTok for this channel is where it's at. And definitely keep a lookout for more Star Wars videos. I post videos regularly. With that said, may the Force be with you,